Hi, I'm Dr. Bart, but you already know that as it's part of my role. I have Dan here from Guidey, and we'll be talking about using AI in video and onboarding to different features. Basically, introducing you also to Guidey and how Guidey can help your product or your initiative. So Dan, how about you now introduce yourself?
So thank you again. So my name is Dan Zahar. I'm one of the co-founders of Guide, which is a company. It's my second startup company, which I co-founded together with Yoav Anav, who is a former colleague of mine. We were both in product in prior careers. So we held a variety of product roles all the way to like CPO and VP of product. And one of the things that we've noticed in software that we build and ship to users was there's always the challenge of getting people to have the know-how to use the software that you built. And usually that's kind of like a problem that you have internally, like in applications that you use within your tech stack, but also if you're a product manager or a developer in stuff that you actually build and ship out to customers. And this company, Guide, was formed as a result of that pain point. So we wanted to build a system that allows you to basically create information in a very consumable, digestible manner, in an easy way that you can pass it on, but also give you an ability to deliver that information and have it as a user when you need it, where you need it, in your flow of work. So those are two guiding principles that we had in the company, and we'll show them pretty soon in the webinar.
So as product manager to a product manager, we need to stress that it's all about the funnels. And as we know, to have a successful feature, we need to have the whole development funnel almost perfect, from conception to prioritization to UX. But you can have a perfect feature designed for perfect audience and still fail because the users don't know about the new release, or are simply confused with it. So how is Guide helping with that challenge that can jeopardize the best product work at its final miles?
So we, I would say, participate. There's, I think, layers of know-how that every person, it doesn't matter in which topic that you go through. So the first level is awareness. You have to be aware that there is even such a possibility to do something. You want to build a house, you have to be aware there is a possibility to do so. So that's level one. And there's inside the product, or if you're talking about internal tools, there's a lot of different ways to drive awareness. Sometimes they're intrusive. You try not to make them intrusive, but that's level one. The second level is you actually have to create some medium to pass the information forward. So depending on what you're trying to do, you pick the right medium for the task. And the right medium for the task and the right audience for that medium. So what I mean by medium, it can be, sometimes the best way to learn about something is to read a book. But in other cases, and since we're typically talking about software applications, things that are very visual and they have a lot of graphical user interface, you need a visual medium to do so as well. So the visual, there's really two options. One is images, and the second is video. And, if an image is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000 images. And that's, I think, learned early on in my previous startup was in video as well, but it was more on the infrastructure side. We believe video is kind of like the best way for humans to consume information the fastest way. And that's what we essentially the platform that we built. By the way, for AI as an audience, video is not the best medium to consume information. And we'll talk about that as well, because AI becomes a secondary audience, sometimes maybe even a primary audience for content that you built these days. So that's also worthwhile noting.
So Is it fair to say that with Guide, it's a little bit like a challenge in companies build versus buy, where probably some of the features that Guide offers can be built in-house, but why bother, why waste or like divert resources when you have a whole product ready, polished, and ready to go there to incorporate best practices of introduction of new features to the product?
So for parts of our product, you could say that. I think it's always the question build versus buy. It's everything that you do, build, buy, or outsource. That's pretty much like what you can do. Since we're dealing with content, I think you could look with content creation, at least. The way to build is you have to have a creator or many creators on your side. So if you want to produce like a tutorial video, you need somebody like instructional designer to build it. Or if you have like a really graphical product manager, they can maybe do it on their own. But we assume, and we've worked with many people in many companies throughout the years, not everybody's visual. Some people they're great in person, but they're terrible at even creating presentations. And then you could say, a cheat code like that you can use us. It produces a very, very good video, and anybody with no visual skills can do it on their own. So that's the whole concept of like the acceleration aspect that this tool creates. Of course, if you don't want it, you can try to build those videos on your own and run into, I would say, time challenges, and then in many cases quality challenges. And then you're also often limiting the amount of people who can actually create content, because not everybody has visual skills. It means that even, knowledge is spread in your organization, but then there's only 2 people or 3 people that can actually build videos because they're the only one that know how to use Camtasia. Mm-hmm. So you don't want that. You want knowledge exists in everybody's mind. Let them put it out there.
I can resonate with that. It took me months and years to get like basic or like semi-medium levels of editing and like creating good videos, and I still think I have lots of way to go, especially that it's not like my core skill. So having someone to do that for me would be awesome. But speaking of video, you did publish a state of video documentation report this year, right? What are the trends you are seeing, and what do you believe is the future of video creation with AI?
So I think I would say stuff that we probably have seen. I think every company in the content side, starting from consumer videos like TikTok and YouTube, has seen there's like dropping attention spans of humanity. It doesn't matter what they're doing. So people have way more screens that they're looking at the same time, less time. There's a ton of visual content. So you either grab my attention fast, and if I'm watching what you're showing, I'm only going to listen for maybe 30 seconds. So if in the past, we had very long sessions and a webinar that's like an hour long, people are not going to watch that. So you got to condense it and bring it down. Like I'm actually showing a slide, some of the findings here. Bring it down in some cases under 30 seconds, because like make it like very bite-sized information. Now, the other main thing is that like if you've ever built a video, I think this is the third point that you can see here on the slide. The toughest thing I would say that you can actually, when you're editing the video, probably the toughest thing is what you see here on the right-hand side. It's the audio part. Because if you recorded your voice and then you need to, break out the section because there was noise outside, or you were stuttering, or something else, coughing, cutting that out and splicing it in becomes really difficult. So what we've seen is people just say, okay, you know what, let's move. And then there's other people who just like don't like to hear the sound of their own voice. So the easiest way, let's use the AI for that. And I think the majority of our, the vast majority of our customers that we see, text to voice has become kind of like that's immediate. I'm not even going to record my audio. I'm only going to rely on the AI audio to do that. And I think that's a major, we'll see that more and more, and we'll see that more and more pretty much like across every role, because there's different types of videos. There's things that you want to make more generic, like an instructional video for every customer. And then you don't really care who the speaker is, because I don't know, I watch a video from Figma. I have no idea who works at Figma. So it could mean I couldn't care less who's the speaker. However, if I'm looking for my customer success manager at Figma, I do know who they are. And I would like to hear their voice. And I think that's like the two variations that we'll see. I think in both cases, you'll see more and more AI voice, not only in the first one, which is kind of like the use case that we see today primarily.
Awesome. So maybe you can share some success stories of customers that are using Guide and what benefits did it bring to them.
So I think one of the interesting things that we've seen at Guide is it's a very agnostic tool. So you see logos here that are pretty much for every industry in the world. Like you can see software companies like DocuSign and Carta, a pharmaceutical company like Bayer, American Eagle Outfitters, a clothing manufacturer, ADP. So there's like customer, like enterprises from just like any industry that ever existed. And why are they all using this? Like, what's the common denominator? Like today, there's a trend to go vertical. This is like, it's very horizontal. So I think what we've learned, and this is like, we didn't know this like right away, but I think what we've learned is that today, software is everywhere. And you can, this is an example of a customer, Beacon Mobility. They're like the largest like bus, this is like a yellow bus for schools in the US. This is what kids come to school on. They're a software company. They actually have software that they build on their own. They use a variety of software tools internally for their employees. So it's not like a product manager in a software company problem. It's a problem that every company in the world has. It's kind of like every company, Mark Andreessen said software is eating the world. And today there's a saying like AI is eating the world. That's actually, it already happened. So the problem is information. I need it as a user, or I need it as a product manager, or I need it as a employee. How do I get it? And we believe that video is the best way to get it. So the answer to this problem is like, well, everybody's using software, but the issue is that software is still either not great, which means that people are still, stuck or not knowing how to do things, or maybe it is great, but it is, I'm still new in this software. I'm still onboarding. I don't know. This is my first time on this software. And I also have, even though, I'm on a sales team, there's like 20 different apps that I'm using. So yeah, I know Salesforce, but I don't know these other ones. And I have to get this information on the specific application, and more often than not, also how my company uses that application, because there's like customizations that you do because you work in a pharmaceutical company. So Salesforce in company A does not look exactly like Salesforce in company B. And that is a lot of the source of the information gap. So this is kind of like the main problem that we've been trying to tackle from day one.
Awesome. So speaking of good beginnings, and before I pass the voice to you completely so we can see Guide in action, I know that Guide at some point was #1 on Product Hunt. How did this happen?
So I think if you've ever built a product in the last 5-7 years, you always, maybe 20 years ago, you would do like a huge launch and pay a lot of money to hire, to bring journalists. But today, the best way to do it, I think, is still Product Hunt. And especially for SaaS applications, especially for things that can go bottom up, like that users can actually try them out for themselves. Product Hunt highly recommend it. And it is a very powerful medium. You have to plan for it. And so if you're looking for any tips on how to do that and how to be end the day on the number one spot, it's not like a trivial thing, but it is definitely doable. And at least our company, it definitely was beneficial. We did it twice, and in both cases, we got product of the day. So it was I would say a pretty big win, and we'll probably do it again. Expect some things coming up next year.
Awesome, congrats, and let's see the product that managed to do that. Can you show us a guide and how it operates?
Yes. So I would say I'm going to show one more slide. So kind of like the fundamental premise for the solution is that the solution for knowledge gaps is content. So if I don't know how to do something, if there is content that will explain to me how to do it, I'm going to be able to do it and then learn it, hopefully, in the moment as I'm there. That's a solution. So we want to help you do two things. One, we want to help you create content easier. And secondly, we want to help you discover the content easier. That's pretty much it. If we're able to do that well, you'll benefit, your customers will benefit, your employees, your colleagues are going to benefit from it. Now, let's see how we do both of those things, the create side and the discovery side. So I'm going to go now into the browser here, and we'll start with the creation side, and I'll simulate it. This is an actual environment on a app that many of you have probably used in the past, which is Salesforce. But this is like the same thing is going to work on any software application. So I'm here in the app, and then you can see the little G here, which is my capture tool. So in this case, I want to pass information on to maybe a colleague on a flow in Salesforce. So let's do like how to subscribe to a dashboard that I created, and I want the other team members to see it, and then maybe walk them through it. So I'm here in the app. I can go and just like perform this flow. So this is going to be like my PLG dashboard. The numbers here are not real. It's just like but you can see like the various the various like opportunities, and then I can subscribe to it. And it's not picking up my audio or anything. It's just like following my steps. And then when I'm done, I click on done, and let's see what happens. So basically, we captured everything that I was doing on the screen, and you can see like on every step there is an automatic highlight. This is like an SOP, like a standard operating procedure that I can send out to my team members. And then in parallel, there is a video that's being rendered as we speak. I'm going to share in a different manner so you can actually hear the audio part of it. All right, here we go. And then, so this video was made.
Learn how to effortlessly subscribe to a dashboard in Salesforce with these straightforward instructions. From accessing the dashboard section to finalizing the subscription, this guide will walk you through each step to streamline your dashboard management process. Navigate to the dashboard section. Select the PLG dashboard.
All right, so essentially what it did is it created an instant video out of the flow that I was doing. And it also delivered this guide, which is a multimodal content. So like for people that want to watch the video, they can do so here. For people that want to read, they can jump like to the various sections. And then from this point, you can actually share it instantly. So I'll show you how simple that is. You can actually embed the content that you just did, because in many cases, you don't want the content to stay within the system. You may want to like embed it into into your wiki or your knowledge base. Let's say I want to do it like into my knowledge base. I'm going to pick like the destination, and then this is my knowledge base. I prepared a little article here, and then when I paste it in, essentially I built a full knowledge-based article with all the steps and a video player that's ready to go. So this, you saw how easy it was. It took me like 2 minutes to produce that. And then if I want, I can edit any of the textual steps. Like, let's say I want to like highlight that. I can do that like in the content that's being shared. And I can also edit the video, which is like, we give you like a very dummy proof, so to speak, like a way to, like, if you've ever used PowerPoint, you should be pretty familiar with that. You can blur out any sensitive information that you may have. And then it's really, really simple to create like a video in literally, you don't need any skill set in order to do that. And then the content you can brand with your own brand guidelines. This is right now on Guide, but you can have kind of like consistency in the way that the content is actually delivered to your customers, and then or your users. And then finally, because many of our customers are multi-national organizations, you can also grab this content, which this is produced in English, but I can then instantly translate it to any one of like a variety of languages. So let's see if we have Polish. Yeah, we do. So you tell
Awesome.
me this. So yeah, we can and let's use like a female voice, and I can translate it, and then we're producing essentially and the same output, but in a different language and different visuals, and you can do so across like multiple languages. Like a lot of organizations that are customers of ours have kind of like 3 or 4 standard languages that the entire organizations uses as they're creating the content.
Well, at Stepstone, we have to do everything for Germany, for English. We used to do also French and I think 2 other languages. So that's so awesome. It was also the case in Skype, and I see problems with like blog articles that have English as like their primary news channel, but the other languages like fall behind, and that would be an awesome solution to.
Yeah, and you can see, and you can see like right here. So I don't, my Polish is a bit rusty, but I hope that it says the right things.
Dowiedz się, jak bez wysiłku subskrybować projekt integracyjny Salesforce, korzystając z tych prostych instrukcji. Well, it does sound like normal Polish. It's it doesn't sound like
and it's the audio track as well.
Yeah.
And it's the audio track as well. So this is like our creation side. So I would say the main takeaway, the main value add here is that dead simple video creation that anybody on the team can do, which means more people are creating content, and the ones that are building content, they're creating more. So this is like, I think, in your motivation to build more and more content, so that there's always an answer to any problem that people may have, at least in content wise. I think this is just a huge force multiplier, and our customers, like in some cases, we see like 7 times, 10 times more content is being created using this methodology versus what they were doing before. So just like a lot more content, a lot more consistency in the content that is being created.
Well, I remember doing the exact same thing manually years ago, and well, it was long hours of doing exactly the same thing with screen recorder, writing step-by-step instructions. If you go to a product called Idibus Wiki, you can still see my old articles and videos, which are like Stone Age compared to that.
Yeah. I think most of the work, that's the way that they were doing. So again, this is like, it solves, I would say one of the main parts is the creation side. Now, the second part that I mentioned is the discovery. So this is my second problem that we try to tackle as product managers, which was, okay, I build the content, we have it, it's ready to go. Now, how do I get it in front of my users or in front of the other colleagues, the other employees? Because they're using a variety of tools. And for that, we moved to the second part of our solution that we call broadcast. And essentially, the content that you just built and other content as well, we give you the tool to consume it as a employee in this case. So this is like I'm on the same Salesforce, and what you can see here is within that same tool, I have the ability to receive content as I'm working. So this is like content that is, here's the piece of content that I just built. I can consume it directly over Salesforce. I can watch it, listen to it if I would like, make it large, like so I can like jump to the sections that I want to browse, and essentially receive kind of like an on-app Netflix library across the tools that I'm using. So this is available either in a widget, like in a extension like this, or in a SDK that you can actually embed into your own product. And the great thing about it is it follows you as you're working across like a variety of applications. So here, let's say the marketing team is working on Klaviyo, producing a campaign. I can receive content as I'm working on that campaign. Like I want to see how to preview a flow trigger. Can jump to any section in the video, and this is like a universal library. So like it can be content across any app that I'm using, like within my tech stack. You can see I receive it in my flow, consume the information, and then the great thing is I can exit out and perform what I just learned, giving me kind of like instant learning. Because usually if you learn, you're in a classroom, but the next time that you're actually going to do it can be weeks later. By that time, you totally forgot. This is instantaneous and real time, just in time when you actually need it.
Awesome. So thank you for that. I hope that everyone enjoyed this presentation, and I guess we have a little bit time to take questions now, right?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to get any questions from the audience.
Let's see if we get any. So you've seen it here. You know what the guide now is, and maybe you have some questions or maybe something related to onboarding and using video and AI to do that. Maybe I can, in the meantime, ask, AI PhD question. What kind of AI did you use to do all that? Is it like your own LLM, or did you use any other tech to achieve this amazing result?
So we use, I don't know what you categorize us, but because our content is, you could say there's a few various use cases that are happening at the same, in parallel or sequentially inside our tool. So we actually use, I would say, 5 different LLMs, like different types. Each one is, it's kind of like there was an approach of best in class SaaS. We use best in class AI, and there's, things that are very good for audio generation. There's other things very good for text generation. We use just like a host of them. And then I think the secret sauce for us is like how to actually fuse them together fast and in a really complementary way. I think that's pretty much like what many solutions will do over time. I think foundational models, we may get there at some point, but I think there's a lot of things that you can do with just like off-the-shelf models if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, even in the live demo, it looked amazing and like produced sensible and amazing results. And I've used my share of products that proclaim they can use AI to create shorts out of the YouTube video or create amazing presentations, PowerPoint, from like few pieces of information, and frankly, all of them were a disappointment. And straight up, like they did what they promised, but in a way that you would never publish it. But here, you successfully merge all those AIs you've mentioned to create a product that actually works. Yeah. And maybe my next question to that end, do you have any like numbers that you use, like say in the presentations or like sales calls, on how much time and or money can a company save when using Guide?
So let me share like some of the results that that customers have seen. It depends on really on what team you're on and what you're trying to accomplish. So one, I would say like I think there's a few examples here I'm showing in the slide. So the first example is a customer education team. So one of their key goals was creation of content. They were almost at zero. This is a company, public company called Niax. You may have them in Poland. They do these like point of sale, like where you enter your credit card and then you pay in a vending machine and many other things. So they have to create a lot of content, and this is like the production volume. Just like you can go on their YouTube channel, you'll see like hundreds of videos. They were made with guide. They were at nearly zero before that. So it's just like a lot more content. You obviously don't produce content just for the sake of it. You want people to actually consume it, and then the end result of once you do that, I think this is what you see. So you have more content, faster videos, and then this ultimately reduces the like this is a support team in Perforce, a software vendor. Tickets drop. So you can actually you create content. People, your customers can actually self-serve. They get the answers they need without you having to be there. They don't open a ticket, and then you can see like the final results, which I think you'll really like as a product manager, is like user adoption increases. So you can see you launching new features. You have the ability to actually drive adoption, drive engagement of across the app, but also of new features. I think video is kind of like the perfect medium to do that. So it's I would say the results are on both how much content you're able to create, but then why were you building the content in the first place? It's either to help your employees do better work or to help your customers do better work, and we achieve both of those.
Do you think that there is a use case or company use guide to improve their SEO strategies, or this product is not designed for that?
So one, we do it internally in Guide, but I think it's definitely a use case. I wouldn't say it's our main use case, but for sure, if you're in SaaS and you want to have a lot of, let's call it landing pages or various integrations with various other tools, I think you can build content very quickly that you can then load to your website and then have it SEO accessible. I mentioned AI, very similar outcome. I'll use our own example. In Guide, we use Intercom Fin, which is our AI chatbot. Probably some of you have used it as well. If you're planning on having an AI chatbot for support, it requires content. And it requires a lot of content to be able to work well. So support teams that have done this, I think, and I was just like at an event in Las Vegas called Support Driven. The primary recommendation that people who've gone into AI have said, you got to build content. So this is, you could say it's similar to SEO, but the difference is it's not Google that's going to, you're building the content for, it's your AI tool, whoever that is. Maybe it's Perplexity, I don't know, like whoever that may be, but you want to create as much content as possible. This is a great way to do so.
So in essence, it streamlines creation of training data for any AI support agents.
Exactly. So the reason why you have a help center is for two people. It's for the humans, that they're the actual consumers, but also for the AI that's going to scrape your entire content and then present answers to the humans. So you benefit twice.
So we live in the future. We build AIs to help AIs do the work.
I believe in that heavily.
Listen, those are all my questions. There aren't any questions so far from the audience, so perhaps some parting words before we conclude the stream.
So I think my parting word is happy to have anybody who's on the webinar today just like go to our website. It's guide.com with 2 Ds. Try our solution out. You can open a free account, a trial account, and just test it out. And let us know whether you like it or not. I think there's a lot of it delivered a lot of value to many companies around the world, regardless of where they are. And I think you'll see a lot of benefit from it. It's just like streamlining your process, create more content, and then ultimately deliver value to your customers and to your colleagues, your employees.
Awesome, thank you. I left the link in the comments section, and apologies, I called it Guy D initially. This is how I always interpret the name, and it sounded like more fun in my head. So that's me being non-native speaker trying to make sense of additional letters.
Yeah, I think everybody. It's like we picked the tricky name, but at least like what we usually see in the US is people say it's guide, but with 2 Ds. That's like search for that.
No problem. I'm Bart with a single B, and thank you for coming to the stream. And looking forward to perhaps having you in the future on Guide or any other product or any other use case. Thank you all the people who jumped to the stream and people who watch it later as a recording. Have a good day, good afternoon, and see you all soon on my posts on Guide website and any future streams and YouTube videos that will happen that I'll be hosting. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.